Hello and welcome to the Rebel Ballerina Show. I am your host, Lisa Loree, the Rebel Ballerina, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm enjoying our weather because it's so beautiful right now. Love that. And of course, there's just a lot to enjoy in life. Um, just being here is amazing. It's a really fun journey when you figure out how to actually have fun and to be fun, to live fun. That's my thing now is living fun, not just having fun. And another interesting thing about this is I just recently came across an article, and I found that it to be very, very fascinating. It's called The Science of Manipulation: Why Good People Follow Orders to Do Bad Things. And it's just a really interesting. Can you pull up the cover, please? This one, and it just has a really interesting uh, insight or two to this. Some of you may recognize the scientific project that was done in and that this article references. And it was done quite a while ago at a college, or I mean, a university, having a group of people being told, you're the teachers, and we're doing this experiment because we are going to do uh, shock therapy to the learners. And it will be in varying and increasing degrees of voltage. And there was, so you had a group of people who are doing the shocking, you have a group of people who are receiving the shocking, and then you have someone in a lab coat who is the authority and giving instructions and telling you what to do and how much and all of that. What the teachers, the ones giving the shock, didn't know is that the other group were actually actors. No one was really receiving any shocks, but they were to pretend and act as if they were getting increased amount of electrical shock to the point where there would be screaming, agony, and then silence. And this test was to see how far people will really go in inflicting this kind of pain and discomfort, or whatever you want to call it, to other people when there was really there was no anger, there was no hostility. It wasn't like this was being done because there was, oh, I'm going to get this person kind of thing. It wasn't like that at all. And these were generally just good people going about their business. And yet here they were in this experiment, and they were told to do the shock therapy, and they did it. And the experiment was about how much people were starting to, either even to the point of getting into it, as they increased the shocks, because they were following the instructions. Sound familiar? They were just following instructions, and yet there were very few that pushed back and said, whoa, whoa, wait, no, I can't do this anymore. That part wasn't revealed in this particular article, but I've read about this study before. And I know that there were a few people that started to push back and say, I can't do this. What, no. But unfortunately, the vast majority kept going. And so it's a very revealing thing about humanity. And this is what I've been harping on ever since I started growing some antlers, ever since I rebelled, ever since I started to figure out how this is going and what's really going on, how this all works. And living what I lived was tyrannical, though I wasn't told to hurt other people necessarily in roundabout way, it hurt my kids. And, it was because I didn't have the fortitude to be able to stand up against it um, early enough. But let me read you a couple of quotes. Here are a few things that come directly from this article in particular. And it says a majority of participants were willing to continue administering shocks even as the learners screamed in pain, begged them to stop, and even fell silent. As long as the person in the lab coat assured them that everything was fine, subjects continued to deliver what they believed were more dangerously high voltage, often laughing and smiling nervously as they did so. So that's kind of scary right there. And then part of what was being observed is ordinary people doing their jobs can unwittingly become agents of destruction. Not because most people are inherently evil, but because most are conformists who tend to obey authority. And I love this one. When you think of the long and gloomy history of man, British novelist and chemist Charles Percy Snow wrote in 1961, you will find more hideous crimes have been committed in the name of obedience than have ever been committed in the name of rebellion. So I love that last quote in particular because I am now a rebel and I'm inviting you to be a rebel. And here's what I've been observing myself. And then I read an article like this and it backs up what I've been seeing is that what we're seeing in a macrocosm, societally, even to the point of globally, and we definitely saw it during the pandemic, during COVID, is that there is so much of this just a desire to just tell me what to do, and people just doing what they're told. Now, granted, I understand when we're very young children, we kind of need to be told a lot of stuff because we don't know anything yet, because we haven't experienced enough of life. So, being told, don't put your hand on a hot stove, well, that makes sense. So we get used to trusting that authority of saying, don't do that, it'll hurt you. Or, don't run out into the street, or do something that's going to benefit you. Whatever it is, eat your veggies. Um, which my poor mom had a really hard time getting that one into me. But the macro, the big picture, I believe starts in the micro. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Because in our individual, minuscule, microscopic lives, this is happening. And the reason it expands to this huge thing is because no one stops it. Because we're so conformist. And why are we conformist? I really believe that largely it's because most of us are fawns and we don't want to rock the boat. We just, even if we don't like in this situation, some of those folks didn't even like doing this in the first place. And finally, some of them did push back. But for the most part, even if you didn't like it, they were told they were just doing what they were doing, telling, what they were told to do because they were following instructions, they were following the authority. And the reason that this whole project came to be was because of Nazi Germany. It's like, how can you have this whole society of typically good people do these horrid things? And there was one in particular who was charged and hanged, rightfully so, for crimes, these war crimes and crimes against the Jewish people. But he had been assessed as, through psychologists and psychiatrists, as normal. he wasn't doing it out of malice or anger or anything like that. He was following orders. That's all he was doing. He was just following orders and trying to move up the ranks in the military, basically. So it's not that he was um, like really trying to stick it to them. It was Adolf Eichmann was the officer who did this. And so that's why this study even came to be. How is it that good people, normal, average people, going about their lives can end up doing such horrible things in the name of following instructions? And then I think of COVID and the pandemic, and it's like we were not asked to do things that were necessarily horrible to each other. As a matter of fact, we were told to stay away from each other, which did have horrible ramifications in and of itself. But I can remember so many times I wore that stupid mask under here. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I'm not. And then there was this one time, oh my word, Jimmy and I went into a store, and I will name it out. It was Sprouts. Oh my gosh, we stopped shopping there because it it was so absurd. Here we are, we have a basket full of stuff. We've put it on the belt. There's plexiglass up, along where the cash register is, the cashier and all of that. It's all, covered with plastic, transparent. So no one's breathing on each other anyway. And she said, "You have to put your mask on." And we looked at each other like, no, no, we don't. I mean, there's plexiglass, we're crying out loud. She goes, "No, you have to put on your mask to protect me." Oh my gosh. Jimmy and I looked at each other and we just went, "Okay, bye." And we just walked out. It was like, "You stupid twit. No, we're not wearing our mask to protect you. We shouldn't even be wearing masks at all." It was so stupid. And now, in hindsight, I think pretty much most people know it. There are some people who are still whacked out and thinking that that was an okay thing that we went through and that how we were forced to, well, most people actually took the damn vaccine because, again, they were told, or some were held hostage by it. If you want to work, you got to have this vaccine. That's bullshit. And that's where we get. That's exactly where we get when we don't stand up to the fucking bullshit narcissists in our lives personally. It turns from this micro into the macro. And now we have these little dictators running around trying to destroy all of humanity, large scale stupidness through a pandemic. And they've even admitted it. It was so that they could see how much they could control the populace of the entire world. That's sick. Do you not get that? That's psychotic. It's like beyond imagination because most of us don't think like that. Thank God. Because the vast majority of us are fawns. We don't think like a narcissist. We don't understand how someone could be so possibly wrapped up into their own anger and bitterness that they literally take it out on everybody else, especially the people they love. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I went through enough of that and I started to bud and build and grow those antlers of mine long before COVID hit. So when it did, I was even much more of a rebel. I'm like, I'm not wearing this damn mask. And I'm certainly not going to get some stupid vaccine because someone tells me I have to. That's bullshit. Can tell I'm a little amped up about it. But this is exactly my message. If we don't step up, fawns, and it's not that we have to turn off being good and kind and generous, loving people. That is not it at all. We don't have to turn that off. We don't have to turn that off. But if we don't start stepping up and stepping against the people who keep us down, who make us small, who insist that we live our lives for their benefit, for their sake, for whatever is on their agenda, and we become so small and disappear and become a vapor to the point of almost committing suicide or actually doing that, they're gonna keep going. I have a friend who went through a situation with a family member, a distant family member, who was an absolute bitch, 100%, and has been all her life. And the thing that my friend said that was really telling, it was really quite remarkable because it was just an innocent conversation. I don't think she, thought, ooh, this would be a good thing to say. It just came out that, no wonder she was so bitter when my friend said, enough, I'm cutting off. This relationship is done. And the bitterness, the vindictiveness, the cattiness, that going on, and the sabotaging of other people in the family toward my friend. And the thing that my friend said was the fact that, wow, yeah, I guess she would be pissed off because no one's challenged her until now. And so if we keep letting this go, the narcissists are and will continue to gain more power. We're giving them the control. And the only way that can stop is if we take it back, because we have power. I didn't know that. I went through 50 years and 20 of that being married to someone who it was just insidious abuse. And I had no idea that I had any power. And I'm afraid that that's exactly where most fawns find themselves today and have no idea how to get out. Thankfully, I heard someone that made me really angry at the moment tell me that the reason that my life sucked was because I created it to be that way. And I was like, fuck no, I did not. What are you talking about? Why would I do that? Maybe you can relate. And you're looking at your own situation going, why in the hell would I create so much stress and anxiety and depression and unhappiness? Why would I do that on purpose? No, see, that's the thing. We're not doing it on purpose. We get stuck into this mode and become fawns from childhood because we obey instructions. We're told, oh, you got to do it this way. And subconsciously, we buy into that because we kind of don't have a choice. Because if we don't go along with what they're saying, am I going to get fed? I'm talking about the subconscious of a small child. No one's thinking that out loud. Well, maybe. Actually, maybe that thought actually comes across a conscious mind. But subconsciously, there's this fear. I'm not going to get taken care of unless I follow their instructions, unless I obey, unless I do what I'm told, unless I'm a good girl, which I was. I was a very good girl. And it brought about so much heartache, it's unbelievable. So it's not about not being good in the sense of kind, loving, genuinely kind, loving, caring, giving people, because that's who I believe our nature, that's who we are by our nature. And I believe everybody comes here to this planet with that nature. Some of us, though, it gets smushed out somehow. The anger like morphs, I don't know, and puts you on a path to narcissism. And if that's you, don't know what to tell you because you're kind of stuck, because there's so many things about that personality type that looks like it can't be helped. And that's good to know also for the fawns. They can't be helped. So don't try. Because you're going to make your life miserable. Literally, you will make your life and the people around you, their lives miserable too, especially if you bring children into this. And so if you're finding some traits in someone that are starting to feel like, ooh, I don't know, I don't like this. This doesn't feel right, or I feel bad, or you got to start listening to your intuition and your feelings, because that's your subconscious telling you. Your body is telling you. That's how the body communicates, is through emotions, and it's giving you cues. There are certain chemical reactions that make you feel nervous, make you feel anxiety, make you feel sad. And there are reasons for those. And if we ignore them like I did for decades, we're in trouble. And, we've already gone through world wars, we've gone through genocides of all kinds throughout history, we've gone through COVID. So, what's next on their plate? Are you ready? Are you ready to rebel and stand up for yourself? Are you ready to stand up to the very people in your own personal life on the micro level that are like those who are perpetrating this kind of stuff on all of humanity? Are you ready to stand up to them? Are you ready to say, I'm cutting ties? I am going to use my power that I didn't even know I had, and I'm going to create the life that I want. And you're not part of it. And grow some antlers and continue to be kind and generous and loving towards the people who actually should have that, instead of giving that to the takers, manipulators, and exploiters. Are we prepared for that? Because if we don't step up and push back against the stupid takers in our own lives, it just turns into this macro situation worldwide. I'm pretty tired of it, personally. Now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh hell no. And so I'm just like, I'm done. I am not interested in feeding somebody else's ego so that they can get their kicks out of controlling me. Yeah, I'm going to be a rebel. I am a rebel. And you have an invitation to be a rebel too, because like this article points to, there are so many more things being done uh, that are atrocious, because we're simply following the rules. We're just obeying. We're not thinking. We're not able to have cognizance about the decisions that we're making. Do we really need to follow this? And I remember one of the first times after things started to kind of ease up on us after COVID, and I was standing only a few feet away from a guy in a line somewhere. I don't even remember where. And I turned, I think I turned around, and he like stepped back, like, oh, I'm too close. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, don't worry, I am not scared of your cooties. I'm just not. I know how the immune system works. And that was another thing that was perpetrated on us. Oh, you got to cover up. You got to ultra sanitize. You can't breathe anybody else's whatever. And that, you know what? That's done on purpose, because anybody who has studied biology and different things and how the immune system works, we actually need all of that stuff to keep our own immune systems functioning and functioning well. I mean, yeah, okay, we can get the flu, we can get COVID, we can have those things happen, but in order to maybe have a less difficulty bout of it, we have to have strong immune systems. So if we keep ourselves so sanitized, the immune system can't grow. It can't get stronger. It's not getting enough stress and challenge to create what it needs to do that. So even that part of it was just a dumb move. Well, I won't say it's a dumb move. It was a very purposeful move. So none of it was dumb. It was all completely on purpose. And that's part of what I'm talking about. Narcissists, the takers, the manipulators and exploiters, they don't accidentally do things to hurt you. It's on purpose. They don't accidentally only think of themselves. That's on purpose. The question is, what are we going to do about it? We know who they are. We know their tactics, or hopefully you're starting to understand their tactics because you do need to know that stuff. But now the question is, well, then who are we? Who are the rest of us? What do we do? Well, we rebel. That's what we do. We rebel and stop just patently obeying orders just because someone in supposed authority says we have to do something a certain way or do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm done with all of that. And I welcome you to join me in your own rebellion, becoming your own rebel for your own life, and helping to turn this tide of the microcosm of our personal lives, just allowing people and the energy of the takers to grow and to say, no, no, done. It's kind of like, I love this. I love this example. It's my boyfriend. Hopefully, he won't cut me off because he's also the producer. So he could just cut the show off right now. But apparently, when he was in school, like elementary, junior high ish, there was a bully. It's one of those situations that you see in a movie. There is a bully just, carrying on as bullies do. And one day, Jimmy just had enough and just punched the kid square in the face. Of course, he found himself in the principal's office after that. Dad was sitting next to him. It's very serious, He's probably going, I'm in seriously big trouble. Because, he did just punch a kid. The principal leaned over and said, that's not how we want to handle situations. He said, but thank you. When someone's a problem and someone actually steps up and goes, not anymore. Kudos. And then his dad took him out for ice cream. Yeah, that's what we need. Okay, don't go punching people, please. Don't overdo what I'm saying here. But metaphorically, we need to be a lot stronger. We need to be able to push back and say, I'm not tolerating this anymore. I'm done. And I'm not following your orders. I am a rebel. So join me and be a rebel fawn. And I'm going to sign off now as your rebel ballerina. I just like to rebel now. So enjoy the rest of your day. And there's my website. Very fun, very cool. Thanks for putting that up there. Check that out. Check out my website and my quiz. Are you having fun? Fun without faking it. What is your fun quotient anyway? It's all tied together to what I've just been talking about in a pretty huge way. And you may not even know how much fun you're missing and how much fun you are not being and how much it's really tearing you apart and diminishing you to nothing. That's what I went through. That's why I'm doing this, is to help turn that tide. So please do check out my website. It's really fun. Again, fun. And take the quiz. Take the quiz. See where you are in this whole thing. And I appreciate you stopping by, and I will see you next time. Have a great week.